Okay, this video starts a series of videos I'm gonna film up here on the roof all in one shot. Not one scene, I mean like I came to the roof, I think I'm gonna film 5 videos before I go back down. Take note of the cigar, I'm probably gonna light to start the next video, but yeah. This video, no cigar, then the next 4 cigar, and the cigar will probably get shorter because I'm gonna try to film them in the order that the videos get published. But these videos aren't going up in 5 consecutive days, I don't think, so just be aware of that. But be cool to watch the length of the cigar go down over the course of like a week or a week and a half or whatever. This first video is specific people. I told you player types I can't stand. Specific people this summer I couldn't stand while I was dealing to them. Let's get into it. First one, the guy who wanted to play online poker at the Orleans. So at the Orleans, they say before the tournament starts, you can't be using your phone while your hand is live. A lot of people after they fold, while I'm shuffling, etc., are using their phones, and they can't prohibit you from looking at things. So you could always be looking at your phone, except during the final table. Final table this year had some very strict rules. No electronics at all, no headphones, no phone on the rail, nothing like that. I never dealt the final table, but they would announce that when the tournament started. What happens all tournament though, you shouldn't be using, and when they say using, they mean touching. You shouldn't be touching any device while your hand is live. It might be killed. Now, I've never seen it killed, and you really don't want to be like killing hands all over the place or like even once for a small infraction, but they announced this. So a guy at one point, this was a pretty early stage of the tournament, he asks me about the rules involved with like using phones, and I said, you shouldn't be touching an electronic device while your hand is live at any point in the tournament. And at the final table, there are no devices. They can't be on the rail, they can't be in your hands, you can't have headphones on, nothing like that. And he instantly got irate at me. I don't know why. He said, well, I'm gonna be, you know, playing an online event. And I said, well, I mean, what you're doing with the phone isn't relevant. You're not supposed to be using it while you have a live hand, and at the final table, there are no devices. He goes, well, then why would I play the event? Like, I'm not gonna play this online event and try to lose or not care about winning. I'm gonna try to be winning this online event. So if I'm still in it at the final table, and you're telling me I can't use my phone? I said, at the final table, yeah, the rule is no devices, no headphones, no earbuds, no electronics on the rail, nothing like that. He goes, well then what's the point of me playing this event? Like, why is he so mad at me over this? I don't care in the least if you're playing events to win them, to lose them, just for fun, not caring about the outcome. You asked me the question about electronic devices. I wasn't mad, I wasn't unknowledgeable. I answered accurately. I don't know why he kept getting mad at me that like me and Orleans are teaming up to make sure he has no poker income when it comes to the online streets. But I don't know. The next 2 are similar. This next guy, I mentioned this guy in a video and someone asked what he did. I think I responded to the comment. There was a 3-way all-in pre, and you know, so there's a main pot, you know, one player is eligible just for the main, and then there's a side pot between the 2 players who had more chips than the shortest stack. So I bring in all the bets, I make the main pot right, I make the side pot right, I say I need to see all the cards before I can run it out, everyone shows, and one guy, as soon as he shows, takes out his phone and starts filming. And I tell him, you know, you shouldn't be using your phone while your hand is live. I could have said it in a much nastier way. I could have not said anything and just waited for a player to call the floor and maybe his hand gets killed. Probably not, but maybe. Like, I was being nice. I was going out of my way to be nice and trying to help him protect his hand. And he instantly got really mad at me and said, I'm all in, it doesn't matter, I could do whatever I want. And I said, they say before the tournament starts, you shouldn't be using your phone when your hand is live. That doesn't matter, nothing can happen when I'm all in, so just run the cards out. Okay, for one, I wish now I just refused until he put his phone back, just to annoy him. Not that I cared, or anyone at the table cared, but there was no reason for him to be like instantly in a full rage over me trying to help him. Also, eventually, maybe not because of that, but for some reason, he's gonna have some terrible ruling in a tournament, and he's actually going to explode. That probably seemed like one of the least severe responses he could have had. Could have said nothing, and yeah, so I haven't seen a hand killed because of that, although a lot of people nowadays love filming all-ins. The next one though, I have seen a hand killed because of the next person I'm about to tell you about. Yeah, but this guy, it was funny because he was ahead, I think the side pot mattered much more than the main. I don't think the main had many chips in it. Like, if I were him, I would have just been caring about the side, and if you lose the main, whatever. I think he was ahead pair versus pair, and then lost to a 2-outer to lose the side pot. He still had a few chips left, so he was still at the table. And yeah, it would have been a pretty good needle to say to him something like, you know, it's moot because you lost the hand anyway, but you shouldn't be using your phone when your hand is live, just to like explicitly verbalize the fact that he lost. But he seemed to be really mad already, even though I was the one who should have been mad that he reacted like that. He should have been thanking me that I was trying to help him protect his hands. And then he lost some other hands, and then he was out that down. So if you're a fan of karma, you can refer to this story. Third one is very similar, and for this one I have seen a hand killed before. So there's no one over there, but the high roller lights are reflecting off some car windows, and it's distracting me a little. So there was a guy who played an all-in, and you know, so this wasn't the same. It wasn't all-in pre. I think he was the shortest stack, so he was all in pre. I made the main pot right, but 2 other players were in the hand, and they were not all in. So they're still, I think the side pot was empty, but there is a heads-up side pot. So the all-in player isn't showing his cards yet. At the end of the hand, his cards will need to be flipped up. You need to see all the cards on an all-in, but not yet. So, you know, I make the pot right, go to the flop, the other 2 players go check, check, go to the turn, the other 2 players go check, check. This guy thought he was so far behind and couldn't possibly win on the turn that he starts to leave, and he walks about 15 feet away, even though he's still looking at the table. And then the river card hits, and he sees that he hit a pair, and it's possible he won, and he comes back. And he ended up, he was good for the main pot. So as I push him the pot, no one else at the table cared, so I didn't, you know, need to call the floor or anything. But as I push him the pot, I say, you know, in the future, I wouldn't leave the table that far. Like, I'm not sure your hand would still be live. And he also got really mad at me instantly. He goes, it's all in, doesn't matter. And I said, well, it does. Like, you leave the table like far enough, yeah, your hand could be killed. He goes, you're flipping the cards over anyway. What's the difference? I said, your cards will definitely be flipped up to see that there was no collusion and to see that the deck was proper. I'm not 100% sure if the floor gets called over that the floor would say your cards are live. I've seen it ruled both ways. He said, no, it doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want, heads up. You're flipping the cards over anyway. So he must be best friends with guy number 2, who just think an all-in means a total invulnerability to all the rules. And I have seen a hand killed in that scenario. There was a time last year, a guy went all in. I think he just got crippled, and he was like all in blind in the small blind or something like that, and he like looked at his cards and then left. Like, he walked towards the parking garage, and then we couldn't see him. And I actually wasn't sure if you just kill the hand, or flip the cards up, kill the hand, or flip the cards up, and if he wins, you know, he gets the chips, and then we just keep blinding him out. I called the floor over, and I told him, like, the guy walked to the parking garage, I can't even see him anymore, and the floor said, oh, all right, that hand's dead. And that was the end of it. So you leave the table far enough, it's possible your hand gets killed. Again, for this guy, I was trying to help him out. I was going out of my way. I didn't need to say anything. I was trying to help him protect his hand and his tournament life. And instead of saying thanks or being neutral, he got mad at me like I made it my mission to destroy his life. The guy, next one, the guy who said 30-minute levels are a really short structure. For one, I love when people complain about the structure of a tournament after they signed up and decided to play. This is way too late to complain about anything like that. But this guy, I actually had to hold back from laughing. I thought he was joking at first, and I almost started laughing. And that would have made things, I mean, I wouldn't have gotten into trouble or anything, but it would have made things a little more tense at the table if I just laughed at him. Thinking I was laughing with him, but actually laughing at him. Yeah, he was complaining that 30-minute levels are too short. Like we're basically playing a turbo. For one, Orleans runs about 200 summer tournaments. Only one is 40-minute levels the entire way. If you look at the schedule, you'll see a bunch that say 30 to 40 minutes. There were some that are 30-minute levels for the first 12, until dinner break, until registration closes. Then once registration closes, 40-minute levels the rest of the way. There was only one tournament all year that was 40-minute levels the entire way. That was the $1,100 buy-in Torse. The only event that was over $1,000 to buy in. That one 40-minute levels the entire way. Besides that, 30-minute levels are our longest levels, our slowest tournament, and this guy was complaining that it was a really like shallow structure and really quick levels. I mean, if you only want to play the main event, because it has I think 2-hour levels or 90-minute levels, he's free to only play the main event and no other tournament all year for the rest of his life. He chose to play this tournament knowing there were 30-minute levels and then complained about it. All right, last one. There's gonna be a bonus thing, but last one. This guy, it's just a matter of time till he gets banned for life from the Orleans, which is ironic because I think it's the only place he plays. Towards the end of the summer, I happened to walk by him talking to a couple of floor people, and the only thing I heard was him saying, like, he threatened me with physical violence. You're not gonna do anything about that? Hilarious that he's complaining about that. Every single time I've ever dealt a table he's been playing, there's been a problem. He's been the cause of it. He's been the reason it's going on as long as it has, and he's the reason that a floor is called over. He's the problem every single time. I don't know what was going on. I have no doubt he was the problem. And there was one specific time in a tournament where he threatened seed 8 with physical violence. Now he's complaining that other people are doing that to him. For one, I doubt someone else did it to him. He probably just had to make something up to try to like save face with the floor. But even if it were real, it's hilarious that he thinks it's okay to do it to other people, but he starts crying about it when someone else does it to him. Not that it's ever gonna happen. Actually, when that happened, a guy at the table wanted me to call the floor to like settle things down. And I had to really hold back from saying like, he's not gonna do anything. Just like, don't give him any more attention. He's just gonna like be quiet in a couple minutes. Yeah, I doubt he was gonna like run outside and like get in a position to have a fist fight. He just loves arguing and loves getting attention from floor people. But seriously, it is just like, it can't be that many more instances he has of starting problems and calling the floor over until he just gets banned for life from all Boyd properties like worldwide. He is a huge problem every time he plays, and it's never the other guy's fault. One bonus, I actually tried coming up with a full list for a new video, but couldn't think of like an entire list. So I made that video, link at the top, of specific people I really like dealing to this year. I tried to make a list of player types. I don't know, certain times like the list was too short, other times the characteristics were like too easy and the list was too long. I will say this, because this doesn't happen a ton, but when it happens, it's amazing. Some of the best people at the table, the people who, when they're under the gun and they fold pre-flop right away, they get their big blind and their ante ready for the next hand. Those people are amazing, because there are people, there's a lot going on and a lot I need to think about. And one of the things is like, okay, this guy's the big blind and the ante. The big blind isn't a huge deal. It's not a big deal at all if the big blind's like 800 and you put out a 1,000 chip. That's not a big deal at all. It's not even a huge deal if the big blind isn't out when I start dealing. I'm really not supposed to deal the first card unless the exact ante is in the middle first. So that wastes some time. And so like, all right, I'm dealing a hand. One of the things I'm thinking about is next hand, you know, this seat is the big blind. Does this player have the exact chips to put out the exact ante? Even if they do, sometimes they don't. They don't understand I need the exact ante. Who am I gonna ask for change? Am I gonna ask this guy if he has the change and doesn't use it? Can you just use the change? Sometimes people get annoyed when you ask them that, even though they're the ones slowing things down. Like, there's a lot going on. When I see under the gun fold and then get like exactly 1,200 and exactly 1,200 together for the exact big blind and the exact ante, that's just a load off my mind for the next like minute or two while this hand in progress is going on. Those people are unbelievable. Added it as a bonus to this video, and now I'm gonna light a cigar and start the next video I'm filming right here from the Harrah's parking garage roof. And remember, rice is a spoon food.